If this had happened to me, I'd be unable to sleep at night, knowing that what I had done had led to the death of the baby, and now there is a nurse in jail convicted of murder.
Breaking right now, a bombshell development. In the case of Lucy Letby, the nurse who I believe, and you know I put my opinion very strongly on this earlier this year, I believe is one of the victims of the biggest miscarriages of justice in British history. I appreciate this is a controversial conversation, and I appreciate not all of you like what I have to say on this. But her barrister Mark MacDonald told a news conference at the Royal Society of Medicine London today that the lead prosecution expert, Dr. Dewey Evans, has altered his view. According to Mark MacDonald, he said Dr. Evans has now remarkably changed his mind on the cause of death of 3 of the babies, baby C, baby I, and baby P, and as a result, her convictions are no longer safe. Watch this.
Lucy Letby knows you're making this statement today. How does she feel about that and the prospect of the case being reopened?
Everything I do is with the consent of my lay client and my professional client, my instructing solicitor. How would you feel? How would anybody feel? You're a 34-year-old woman, you've been sentenced to life imprisonment without any hope, and suddenly we found such profound and significant evidence that may possibly overturn your conviction. I leave it to you to decide how you would feel about that.
And there was more from the press conference. Watch.
This is a miscarriage of justice. That is my focus. But my experience in miscarriage of justice cases is when there are significant doubts, it doesn't go away. We will still be talking. If this matter is not properly reviewed, if this matter does not go back to trial and fresh evidence called before the jury, we will be continuing. And so the best thing to do is actually to have this matter before the Court of Appeal, go on the fresh evidence that we now have, and go back to a trial and present that fresh evidence before the jury.
And he is completely right. Look, I understand, and I do recommend you go and read my Substack about this because I outlined all of my views. I understand why, if you have just consumed the mainstream media coverage of Lucy Letby, you might believe that she really is the angel of death. But I promise you, this case stinks. Of course, I feel so sorry for the family members of the young children, the babies who died, because they do not want to have to go through this again. But the sanctity of our court process matters. And look, just listen to this new Canadian-based expert, Richard Taylor, who is absolutely horrified by what he's discovered about the trial.
I don't think it's right that we name names at this stage.
I think the doctor knows who they are.
We don't.
I know. I have to say, from a personal point of view, that if this had happened to me, I'd be unable to sleep at night, knowing that what I had done had led to the death of the baby, and now there is a nurse in jail convicted of murder.
Having looked at the evidence, how strong do you think the evidence against Lucy Letby is compared to your theory? That, as I understand it, the doctor accidentally killed the baby by mistake.
The claim was that I think that Lucy Letby had injected air into the baby. I'm not even sure what the prosecution was claiming, but it's nonsense. Complete nonsense. The baby died from shock, from a liver perforation.
I mean, Howard Cox, you've got one of the biggest neonatal experts in the world putting his reputation on the line there, saying, this is just wrong. I mean, using the word nonsense, that's not usually the type of language you hear from medical professionals unless they are absolutely certain. And remember, there's loads of other stuff here. that doesn't stack up about Lucy Letby. I mean, one of the main reasons she was convicted in the court of public opinion, you'll remember, was because of this note. Do you remember she'd written a note that seemed to suggest she was guilty? But in fact, it was actually something that was written on the advice of counsellors, and she was told to put down all of her emotions. So yes, she wrote, I am evil, I did this, but she also wrote, I'm not good enough, why me, I haven't done anything wrong, police investigation is slander, discrimination, investigation. So to me, Howard Cox, I'm sorry, I cannot understand how this woman doesn't get another trial.
Well, this is a revelation to me today, Dan. I didn't realise this sort of thing. I also bought into the mainstream media the fact she was the angel of death, and if she was coerced into actually admitting that she did this, and that we got these experts, incredibly, the top experts in the world saying it's nonsense, she couldn't have done that. The baby died of shock. Of course, it's sad they died. The most important thing is, where was the supervision and why was it allowed to happen? Where were the people behind this watching these babies die? Why is it just Lucy Letby is to blame? I don't know what's the truth here, Dan. I mean, but listening to what you're saying, she deserves an appeal.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Howard, I did look into it for a long time. It was one of those cases that when I was finally free of my mainstream media shackles, I got to tell the truth, because again, I know there were loads of people behind the scenes at GB News, Howard, who knew that Lucy Letby was innocent, but none of them would go on television to say it because it wasn't a palatable thing. So you've got to be brave in this independent space. But honestly, Howard, there is other stuff that doesn't add up. Like, there was sewage seeping into the ward. The CPS has admitted that the swipe card data used in the trial was wrong. Experts were not called to give evidence on Letby's behalf because many felt that they might be cancelled by the medical establishment if they did so. And actually, I think this is something that a lot of people who haven't followed the case closely will find absolutely shocking. Not a single person, Howard, saw Letby do a single thing. Certainly not harm a baby. So there's no CCTV, there's no DNA evidence. This is all based on circumstantial evidence that was at least in part misrepresented. And I actually got a couple of the experts on the show about this. Norman Fenton, who was a mathematician at Queen Mary University, and he looks at the probabilities and clusters, because one of the main things that convicted Lucy Letby was this chart showing that she was in hospital working while many of the deaths occurred, but it doesn't add up. And also Dr. Scott McLaughlin, who is an incredible man actually, who works at King's College London within the Faculty of Nursing, Midwifery and Palliative Care. And they are both convinced that Letby is innocent for a whole load of reasons, right? Because that shift pattern chart doesn't add up. Scott says the babies were actually far sicker than presented at trial. And also, just that it would have been completely practically impossible for her to commit this killing spree. So it's worth, people can go back and watch the full episode, but it is worth just having a little look at what they told me. But first, with the holidays creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win the Best Groomed at the Family Dinner Award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. I use it every day, and it is brilliant. So let's dive into the goods. The Chairman Pro is armed with not one, but two interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. Think of them as your grooming superheroes. The skin-safe 4-blade foil for when you want that baby bottom smooth, and the skin-safe stubble trimmer for when you want to keep some stubble but clean it up a bit. Both keep you looking sharp while minimising razor burn and irritation, because no one wants to show up to the holiday party looking like they've lost a fight with a Christmas tree, right? But wait, there is more. The Chairman Pro has Flex Adjust technology, which is basically like the holiday miracle of shaving. It's like Santa's elves made it just for you, because the blades and pivoting head adjust to every curve of your face and is gentle on the neck area, as if they had the gift of foresight. So go ahead, kiss that awkward jawline patch goodbye. No more pretending it doesn't exist while you hope nobody notices under the mistletoe. And if you want even more precision, on the right side of the bracket, there's a precision lock. When you lock it, the blade head sits firm so you can achieve a more precise shave. And here's something that's going to make your grooming routine even easier. The Chairman Pro is waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower. And the waterproof feature doesn't just make shaving easier, it also simplifies cleanup too. Just a quick rinse under the sink and you're all set. The Chairman Pro isn't just for daily shaves either. It's powerful enough to tackle up to 5-day growth, making it perfect whether you're shaving every day or just tidying up after a few days. And with up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge, you'll have plenty of juice to go from Santa's beard to smooth as a snow angel. It even has a travel lock to help make sure it doesn't accidentally turn on in your bag, and an LED spotlight to help you see every detail, ensuring nothing gets missed. So get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. It has everything you need to keep your face looking and feeling its best, all in one box. So head on over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide like me who trust Manscaped. If you use the coupon code Outspoken at checkout, guess what? You get 20% off your entire order and free shipping. So let me just repeat that, www.manscaped.com using the coupon code Outspoken. But now, back to the show. Letby was convicted of 7 murders and 7 attempted murders of babies in intensive care. No one saw Letby do a single thing. There is no CCTV. There is no DNA evidence. Former Conservative Cabinet Minister Sir David Davis believes there is a 90% chance Letby is not guilty.
The police were potentially already concerned about the value of this statistical evidence.
The statistical value of the chart is pretty much zero.
You could take any nurse and build a similar chart which looks exactly like that if you only look at the deaths which occurred when those people were on duty.
And this is why it's so easy to wrongly convict a nurse if the whole establishment comes down looking for you to be the easy person to blame.
When you look at the babies in the Letby trial, you've got babies who were born as early as 27 weeks gestation. The babies were nowhere near as stable and healthy and strong as was presented during the trial.
So as I say, Howard Cox, I understand that it's highly sensitive talking about this. My God, my heart breaks for the families. But I had to speak out. I had to speak out because I'd done my own research and I did it for months and months and months. And I was absolutely certain before I spoke out, Howard. And remember, a lot of highly respected people in lots of fields have. I mean, look at Peter Hitchens, for example, one of the journalists who got it completely right on COVID from the off. Nadine Dorries, a former health minister, a nurse herself in a previous life. Not to mention David Davis, who is one of the most respected Conservative Party MPs who has spent months of his own time going through the research because he is so convinced that Letby deserves a retrial. And even though he thinks she needs a retrial rather than an acquittal, his personal viewpoint, Howard, is that she is innocent.
Well, that's a good point. But surely the baby's parents, the family, they want to get to the bottom of the truth. I'm sure they wouldn't want an innocent person going to, well, basically she's been committed to how many life sentences she's been put to. They would want the truth coming out too.
No, of course they would. Of course they would. But the problem is, Howard, they have spent, 2 very, very traumatic years of their life in court, believing what the state had told them. And the problem is, when you really start looking into this, Howard, and this is something you do know a lot about, there has been a desire by the health establishment to find a victim. And again, to find a scapegoat here. And I believe Lucy Letby is a victim because she became the scapegoat. And this is something that has happened in other foreign countries as well. And it's fascinating, actually, if you look at that poll on my Substack, the majority of the audience, once they had read it, believes that she is innocent.
Well, you can put me into that category too. I wasn't aware of this detail. I knew about David Davis saying that, the findings, the result, it was unsafe. And I didn't read it in detail. I saw the headlines, but now I will look into this very deeply because I'm shocked by the revelations that have come out today.
Yeah, a lot of this actually happened when the New Yorker ran a very detailed investigation into the Lucy Letby case. And for people who want to know more, it's a long read, but I really recommend it because it sums up a lot of the evidence in one place. But goodness me, Howard Cox, what a busy day. A busy day of breaking news, Howard. And actually, I'll just get your reaction very quickly to the other piece of breaking news, which has developed over the last couple of hours, which is that Prince Andrew, we learn, will not be attending the royal family Christmas at Sandringham after his links to the Chinese spy, or the alleged Chinese spy, who has now today been named by a judge. Do you feel this was the right decision to stop Andrew celebrating Christmas with his family? He's going to spend it with Fergie, apparently.
I may be a bit provocative here, but I don't think anyone should stop people celebrating with their family. I think it's wrong. I think Charles and Edward and Anne should actually come out and give him a bit of support, because the guy is being persecuted all over the place. He may be guilty, but I understand this Chinese spy spoke to David Cameron and Theresa May and over the period of time. So why are they not being persecuted along the same way? All I can say to you is that it's good to see it's out, because I understand Lee Anderson was going to, under parliamentary privilege, was going to reveal the name in Parliament, but the judge got there first. So at least we know who this person is. But Andrew is a sad case, I know that, but he's still got he's a family man, and he's got family, his brothers, sisters, his two brothers and sisters. You know, he should be allowed to spend time with them.
No, Howard, do you know what? Number one, this is why I love you. Number two, this is why I think it's really great that we're out of the mainstream to have these conversations. Because again, if you're in the mainstream media, you might as well talk about Prince Andrew as if he's Hitler, right? A guy who hasn't been found guilty of anything. Now, as you say, when it comes to the spy Yang Teng Bo, that's the name of the spy, which has been released today by the courts in the UK. He was with David Cameron. He was with Theresa May. No one's trying to say that they shouldn't get to spend family with their Christmas. Now, look, yes, Prince Andrew has been a bit of an embarrassment, but I think this is really awkward for the royal family, Howard. And we're going to speak about this more in the after show with Steph the Alter Nerd today, because when you think about it, we criticize Harry and Meghan so much, I think quite rightly, because of the way that they turned on their own family. They slagged their own family off. Now, Andrew isn't doing that, but his whole family are going to gather in Sandringham, and him and Fergie are forced to stay at Royal Lodge. And also, we learn now that Eugenie and Beatrice will not be at the Christmas either. So, look, if Andrew had actually done something wrong here, but it feels to me like he was misled by this Chinese guy, in the same way that lots of major Brits were. And yeah, I think being banned by your own family from Christmas after the year they've had, Charles cancer, Catherine cancer, it's not great. But Howard Cox, very much appreciate you and everything you do. And thank you for your honesty as always, Howard, today. I love having you on Outspoken.
Thank you. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, indeed. Have a great one. We'll speak in 2025.
Cheers then. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.